China's gung ho biolabs have repeatedly released deadly viruses onto the world. So, COVID lab leak is no shock. China's gung ho approach to biolab safety means the theory that COVID came from one in Wuhan is no shock. The country has seen at major leaks from labs in the past, while the poor protection given to staff has increased the risk. There is a growing suspicion the COVID virus may have leaked from the Wuhan Institute of Virology. What was initially dismissed as conspiracy theory has gained traction to the extent that President Joe Biden has ordered US spies to investigate. British intelligence has also reported recently assessed the theory and upgraded its likeliness from remote to feasible. China's refusal to allow full investigation and increasingly shrill denials have fueled suspicion that it is seeking to cover up culpability. Shocking biosecurity lapses spanning over 40 years have also led to some to question the official Chinese line that the disease was passed from animals to humans. There are also suspicions an H1N1 influenza epidemic in the late 1970s may have leaked from a lab, while an outbreak of a bacterial infection in 2020 was attributed to a leak from a vaccine plant. Richard H. E. Bright, a professor of chemistry and chemical biology at Reuters University, is one of the growing number of scientists who have said lab leak theory needs to be fully examined. He told The Sun Online there were two separate laboratory accidents in Beijing in 2004, in which a SARS virus was entered into the human population. SARS stands for Sudden Acute Respiratory Syndrome, and SARS-CoV-2 is the coronavirus that causes COVID-19. Professor E. Bright said staff working on projects around the bad SARS-related coronavirus at the Wuhan Institute of Virology were poorly protected and there was a lax approach to biosecurity. He said they use personal protective equipment, usually just gloves, sometimes not even gloves, and safety standards were usually just biosafety level 2. Professor E. Bright said that would pose a high risk of infection of field collection, field survey, or laboratory staff upon contact with the virus having the transmission properties of SARS-CoV-2. Fears about lab security across the globe have been growing in the suspicions about the WIB have grown. Experts from King's College London compiled the report titled Mapping Maximum Biological Containment Labs Globally in an effort to highlight the significant risk posed by the labs amid the pandemic. Pathogens which have been studied in the labs of this kind include Ebola, the Nipah, the Lassa viruses, Crimean Congo hemographic fever, all which have potential to be more fatal than COVID. There have also been reported leaks of the SARS virus in Taiwan and Singapore. The United States have also seen 219 reports of releases and 13 reports of loss of agents on the biological select agents and toxin list of pathogens and toxin. The list includes BSAT for short, includes Ebola, the original SARS virus, Lassa fever virus, and the strains of bacterium that can cause anthrax diseases. Serious concern. Research carried out by Gilles Demanifiu, who is part of the drastic group seeking to expose Chinese biosecurity lapses, looked at what happened during the 2004 leaks in China. The Institute of Virology, part of the Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention, was carrying out research into SARS in the wake of an outbreak in 2003. In February 2004, two researchers became contaminated and developed symptoms such as diarrhea and high fever, though they later recovered. It emerged that due to overcrowding in lab samples of SARS strain was placed outside in the corridor. A researcher took out a sample to place under a microscope but became contaminated despite using what she thought was a disinfectant solution. The World Health Organization launched investigation into the labs and was scathing about the lab. Investigators have serious concerns about biosafety procedures at the institute, including how and when procedures using SARS coronavirus were carried out and how and where SARS coronavirus samples were stored. Then in April 2004, graduate student at the institute started a short-term internship in the viral diarrhea department of the Institute of Virology in Beijing, became ill on a train. It emerged that she had infected with the SARS virus and was treated for viral pneumonia in her hometown. A nurse who treated her became ill and another researcher at the institute also became ill with SARS. By the end of April, 700 people were quarantined and in total there were 11 cases across 4 generations. A promised full report from WHO, however, failed to materialize. The 1977 H1N1 outbreak in North Eastern China, concentrated in the cities of Tianjin, Liaojin, and Jilin, remains a mystery, but one common theory is that it came from a lab leak. A peer-reviewed scientific paper in 2010 said the virus reappeared after a 20-year absence. Genetic analysis indicated that this strain was missing decades of nucleotide sequence evolution, suggesting an accidental release of a frozen laboratory strain into the general population. A lab from where this could have leaked have been identified. Professor E. Bright, he has an open mind about whether COVID could have been transmitted to humans via animals. He said there is a circumstantial evidence which is noteworthy. He said that Wuhan Institute of Virology has the world's largest collection of horseshoe bat viruses and that possessed and worked with the world's closest published relative of COVID. The Wuhan Institute of Virology is the only facility in China which deals with bat coronavirus. Studies show that one of the virus collected by the lab scientists from a mine in 96.2% match for SARS-CoV-2, which causes COVID-19. The outbreak occurred in Wuhan, a city of 11 million persons that does not contain a horseshoe bat colonies and that is outside the flight range of the nearest known horseshoe bat colonies. The outbreak occurred in Wuhan on the doorstep of the Wuhan Institute of Virology, the laboratory that conducts the world's research project on horseshoe bat viruses. The laboratory actively searched for new horseshoe bat viruses in horseshoe bat colonies in caves in remote rural areas in Yunnan province, brought those new horseshoe bat viruses to Wuhan and then mass-produced, genetically manipulated and studied those new horseshoe bat viruses inside Wuhan. Professor E. Byte said the behavior of these Chinese has also raised suspicion, in particular refusal to allow World Health Organization investigators full access. A nation or an institution seeking to its clear name immediately would open the books upon the database and open the freezers. A nation or an institution seeking to hide culpability would not. The actions of China and the Wuhan Institute of Virology over the last 18 months have masked the actions of a nation and institution seeking culpability. Thank you.